Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on November 4th, 2021. And look at that. I actually got back in time to do Toy Thursday, despite my hesitation earlier. Uh, so, in front of the camera, you're looking at a box. Uh, More specifically, it's a crate, like the kind of thing you see that they store things in some dusty old basement of some dusty old factory. It is something very ordinary, nothing special about a crate, except this is actually an accessory for an action figure. And for that, it is a very well made crate. For what it is, it has a very nice looking wood texture with big silver hinges. It is, of course, plastic, so there's no actual silver, no actual wood, but it is of proper size for action figures to carry in their arm or to stand up on. Or, in the case of this particular crate, it's even functional. The lid of the crate actually opens, and if you want to store small accessories in it, it's possible. It's sculpted in a way that it already has something inside, although they're just brown lumps of something. We're not quite sure what they're supposed to be. Um, but for all intents and purposes, as an action figure accessory, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, it's kind of strange for me to stand here and say that the crate, a dusty old crate, that has a bunch of identifiable lumps inside, being pretty good, considering the giant fancy weapons and uh, amazing backdrops we've shown in the past. But sometimes the mundane, the simple, is what you need on a display. Having something like a dusty old crate or a broken table or a turnover chair on the display will just add so much to your uh, scenery in the background. But of course, I can't do a Toy Thursday on just a dusty old crate. So that is obviously just the beginning. So recently, I have been meeting up with some amazing friends that we have not seen each other since the pandemic. A couple of these are my old school teachers from my high school days. They're all retired and they are grandmothers now. So that makes me think. In my life, I have come across so many amazing, just kick-ass people that are grandmothers today. Wouldn't it be cool to do a little series, and you'd have to be little, unfortunately, on grandmas that kick butt on our Toy Thursday, just to showcase some of the more uh, badass, amazing, uh, notorious, infamous grandmotherly action figures in my collection. Like I said, unfortunately, the collection for grandmas kind of small. Uh, because when it comes to action figures, they are tightly linked with pop culture, comic books, movies, video games, etc. And I hate to say this, but our pop culture is very, very shallow, especially when it comes to female aesthetics, female appreciation. This is why there's pretty much no fat or curvy or chubby female action figures anywhere. Uh, and old ladies are far and few in between. In the action figure world, in the pop culture world, it's like if you don't have breast or perky breast or curvy behind, and if you're not under the age of 22, or at least look under the age of 22, then you are not marketable, and they don't want to even think that you exist. Uh, the sad thing is there are a lot of really amazing old men action figures. Uh, Old grizzled warrior, uh, wise sages and mages and wizards, you name it, you got 'em. There's a lot of old men, but old women, very, very hard to come by. So, for the next few episodes, I'm going to introduce you to a few of the old ladies that hold their own on my display. Today, we are going to start off with probably the smallest of them, but most likely the oldest of them. Those of you that follow Star Wars, the movies, you probably would even recognize this character. Imagine if E.T. had an affair with Sophia from the Golden Girls, and they had an offspring. It would probably look like Maz Kanata from Star Wars. Standing nearly 4 inches tall, which in the real life scale would be she's just about 4 feet tall, Maz Kanata is a very old, very small, very wrinkly looking alien lady that appeared in the Force Awakens Star Wars movie, also appeared in The Last Jedi, and the movie after that. I can't remember what, I think it's The Rise of Skywalker. Her role was not very big. However, she did play some very important role in encouraging the heroes to seek their destiny. She is perhaps the oldest character in the Star Wars uh, universe and has been said to be one of the oldest beings in the universe at the time of when the movie took place. She is well over 1,000 years old, and she dressed very much like what you would imagine an alien grandma would dress like. She is wearing a small green sweater with a drab olive vest over it, maroon pants, very colorful, very, very colorful shoes, socks, and she got jewelry out the wazoo, wherever the wazoo is. Um, she got rings and bracelets all up and down her arms, and she got some metallic, maybe gold plates hanging at her belt. Just imagine how noisy it is when this old lady walks around. Her hair is hidden under some kind of head covering, maybe like a hairnet or something that I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be. And on her face is a pair of very futuristic looking goggles that would magnify in the movie. But obviously, on the action figure, it doesn't have that function. However, the goggles are able to be moved up and down, allowing you to see her eyes underneath them. Even though she is a very small action figure, she is very well articulated, just like the other Star Wars Black Series action figure. For those of you who don't know what Star Wars Black Series is, basically it's a bit of a dream come true for me. You see, I never collected Star Wars action figure when I was growing up because most of the action figures I collected were at least 5 inches to 6 inches scale, which means that the 1/12 scale, meaning 1 inch equals 1 foot in conversion. So a 6 inch figure is basically a 6 foot uh, character when they're human size. Uh, but for the longest time, Star Wars, made by Kenner, I believe, was mostly 3.5 inches tall. They were very small. They were G.I. Joe size. So they never blended in with any of my collection. So that's why I grew up, even though I loved Star Wars, I loved the original trilogy, I loved the Star Wars uh, side adventures, I loved the Star Wars books. I don't care for the sequels, unfortunately. After Darth Vader uh, died, I pretty much kind of lost my uh, interest in Star Wars. Uh, my favorite character, Darth Vader. Anyway, um, ironic, I don't have a Darth Vader action figure. Maybe someone can send me one sometime. Um, so I never had Star Wars action figure when I was growing up. Uh, then a few years ago, maybe like 10 years ago now, I think, Hasbro announced that they were going to start making 6-inch Star Wars action figures, and they put it under the label Star Wars the Black Series. You know how when you buy things like cigarette and whiskey or whatever, when they say black means extra, bigger, the deluxe size. So Star Wars Black means the bigger Star Wars action figure. So I started to build up a small Star Wars collection. The more interesting characters, the ones that I find I have more connection with. I do not have any personal connection or understanding of Maz Kanata as an action figure or as a character because I have not watched the sequels to the trilogy. I have not watched The Last Jedi. I have not watched Force Awakens. Yeah, I know, I know. I'm like, it's like I live in a stone age or something. But like I said, after Darth Vader is no longer there, I'm not really interested. Um, but I purchased her because she it fills a very small niche in my collection. The niche where really amazingly badass, interesting grandmothers go. Uh, so that's why I have her on my display. And speaking of that, Maz Kanata is not just a little quirky, fancily dressed old alien lady. She is also the queen of a bunch of space pirates. And when push comes down to shove, when her underlings decide to rebel, she doesn't mind getting her own hand dirty in settling the dispute in some old-fashioned way with guns blazing. So for that, she comes with a laser blaster rifle that she can hold in her little hand. Because of her articulation, she not only can hold her blaster rifle, and she can look pretty good holding it, standing up on her wooden crate. Hey, when you're really short, like Maz Kanata, you need all the height advantage you can get. So standing up on her little wooden crate with a blaster rifle braced against her hip, the other hand resting on her other hip, she looked not exactly intimidating, but definitely like she means business. She can also be posed half kneeling with one knee resting up on her crate, holding the blaster rifle in both hands. This is probably with some serious shooting in mind. So yeah, there's a lot of different poses you can achieve with this little action figure. Her head, shoulder, arms, wrist, waist, hips, knees, ankles all move very perfectly. Although because she's so small, she's obviously not going to have the full range of motion some bigger action figure have. But hey, she's almost 1,000 years old, or over 1,000 years old. She's not going to be jumping around, doing backflips. So as long as she can hold her gun in some very cool poses, that's good enough for me. In addition to being the queen of a band of pirates, Maz Kanata is also very wise in the use ways of the Force. Even though she is not a Jedi Knight herself, she is able to sense people's emotion and somewhat look into their future just by conversing with them. So she is kind of Force sensitive, I guess. And even though it was never mentioned in the movie, she somehow came into possession of the lightsaber once wielded by Luke Skywalker. Um, Again, I have not watched the movie, so I'm not quite sure what all the particulars are surrounding Luke Skywalker disappearing and his lightsaber somehow ended up with Maz Kanata, all that stuff. But this action figure does come with Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, well, the hilt anyway. You don't get the blade part, you just get the hilt. Um, and she can either hold it in her hand, like she's holding it up in front of the camera right now, or you can do what I do, just store it in her little crate, and for her to have a free hand to hold her gun instead. And this is probably what Maz Kanata looked like on moving day, where she had to be evicted from her basement suite. Well, okay, it's a castle, but whatever. When she had to move from her castle, carrying this gigantic crate that you can barely see her face behind the crate. But hey, look at this. This tiny action figure is actually able to hold up a crate that's almost as big as she is, and she is able to stand up. So yeah, kudos for strong, badass grandmas. And here is a size comparison with Maz Kanata standing next to a regular human-sized character like Han Solo. And we can see just how small Maz Kanata is. This old lady barely come up to Han Solo's solar plexus, and Han Solo is not really a big fellow, like regular human size. I'm not quite sure he's 5'10", 5'11", something like that. Six, what you, I don't think Han Solo is 6 feet tall, but anyway. So yeah, it is a very small action figure, and some people may say, well, no, that for the price that you have to pay, that's not really a lot. But just on the virtue of being one of the very, very minority of grannies, grandmas that can hold their own on an action figure display. Maz Kanata is a very worthy figure on its own to add to your collection. And in addition to that, she is an alien, so she has that going for her too. If you're looking for a wacky alien in the background or just a cool old lady action figure to spice up your display, Maskanada is definitely worthy of consideration. And the character is, like I said, the role was very brief in the movie from what I heard, but very, very influential. Come back next week and we will see another uh, older grandmotherly action figure that will be showing off in this Grandmas That Kick Butt series. Thank you for checking out today's Toys 101. We'll be back again tomorrow for Fitness 101 with Johnny Tiger and Kitten.